Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for tuning in. Man, we've had a long last 24 hours. Last night we had a snow squall, which is like hurricane winds with blizzard conditions. It was pretty wild out. I don't recall a time when I've had no visibility like that from a snowfall before with 50-mile-an-hour winds mixed in. It was pretty crazy. Today, the truck broke down, so now I got to get the truck fixed before our next tournament. I'm hoping we can get parts for that. It's been a trying last 24 hours, but Hank and I thought we would come down and do a video for you. Recently, I did a video talking about my favorite baits for fishing ultra-pressured bodies of water. Today, I want to do the opposite. I'm going to give you my top 5 baits for fishing lakes where the fish are really aggressive and turned on. Because really what it comes down to is when the fish are extremely active, you want to cover a bunch of water. You don't want to slow down and get bit by fish that would bite a fast-moving bait, because you'll get twice the number of bites by covering more water. If the fish is going to bite, a wacky rig worm, but they're also going to bite a spinnerbait, I'd rather throw the spinnerbait and cover lots of water. So we're going to talk about the best baits, in my opinion, for when the fish are really aggressive, because you want to take advantage of those windows, because they're not always aggressive, but when they're turned on, you can get like an hour or two of excellent fishing by using baits that are going to help you cover water. So we're going to talk about those today. Before I get into it, I do want to remind you guys, though, that if you want to support the channel, you can go into my description and look at my the link to my store, buy some Matt Steffen Fishing merchandise. That really helps us. Also, I've got links to the Tackle Warehouse site. We've got an affiliate deal with them. So if you cut and paste that link into your browser window, bookmark it, that then will help a small percentage of purchases will come back to Matt Steffen Fishing. It's a good way to support the channel and tell me that you are appreciating all of the videos that we're putting out. All right, Hank, so let's talk about our best baits. Do you want to grab the first one? All right, hold that up. Let's hold it a little closer. What do we got there? That's a Dirty Jig Scott Canterbury Pro Buzzbait. The buzzbait, in my opinion, is one of the absolute best baits for covering water. And when the fish are active, it's hard to beat a buzzbait. A buzzbait can generate strikes not just from numbers of fish, but from some of the biggest fish in the area. I love personally to put a plastic bait on the back, like a toad or some sort of swim bait or a pit boss, versus using a skirted buzzbait. But that's just my personal preference. The key here is a buzzbait allows you to move, cover lots of water, get bit by those aggressive fish. It's just one of my absolute favorite baits anytime you have a good feeding window that's going on. It's really a good bait. If you've got a front moving in, a buzzbait can be one of the absolute best baits because the fish are going to be a little bit higher up in the water column. All right, what's our second bait? Moving on. It's hard to beat a lipless crankbait. A lipless crankbait like this Berkeley War Pig, which is one of my favorites. Guys, the thing about a lipless that is so awesome is it's a cast and wind bait. Yes, you can yo-yo it. Yes, you can slow pause it. Yes, you can rip it through grass. But when they're really active, you can burn it back to the boat. Real 4 or 5 good fast cranks, kill it quick. Real 4 or 5 fast cranks, kill it quick. You can cover a ton of water. It's a great bait for fishing rivers. It's a great bait for fishing lakes. But more than anything, it's one of the most efficient baits that you can use to cover water. And most species of game fish will bite it. You'll catch pike, muskie, white bass, all the bass species, walleye. Everything will eat that bait because it's a really good bait to not only generate strikes, but it does it through reaction, and it also does it through vibration and sound. So you have all the very loud, aggressive characteristics that are going to draw fish to the bait, because when they're active, they'll come from a long distance away to hit that. A lipless is hard to beat. All right, what's next? A spinnerbait. like the War Eagle spinner baits. That's one of my favorite spinner baits to throw. A spinner bait is kind of along the same lines as a lipless bait. It's a cast and wind bait. Yes, you get more bites when you slow, when you throb it or give it a pause here and there. But when the fish are really aggressive, you can cast and wind that bait as fast as you can and they will rip it out of your hands. It's a great bait for fishing around cover because it is a very weedless bait. Great bait for clipping over the tops of grass clumps. I mean, it's one of those baits that you can pretty much throw anywhere and get a bite. And when the fish are active, a spinner bait will draw the fish to it and get more bites, and it'll allow you to cover twice the amount of water that you'd get if you slowed down with a slow moving bait. Next up, we got a jerkbait, like the Berkeley Stunner, one of my absolute favorite jerkbaits. Here's the key with a jerkbait. A lot of people think that a jerkbait is all about cold water and slow, long pauses. It's not that way. Yes, it's probably one of the best baits anytime you're dealing with water temps that are below 50 degrees. But the reality is that that bait generates strikes year round, and there's not many baits that will generate more strikes when the fish are aggressive. They'll come up from deep water to hit that bait. Even if it's only 4 feet under the surface, but you're in 15 feet of water, they will come up to it, they will commit to it, and you will get bit. That's one of the best baits to throw doubles. If you've got schooling fish or fish that are just grouped up and active, you'll get more doubles on a jerkbait than you'll get on any other bait. And I got to tell you, the Berkeley Stunner is one of the best ones out there at this point. All right, our last one. We've got here a crankbait, like one of my favorites, the Megabass Deep X 150. The reason I like the Megabass Deep X 150 in this case is because it's a tight wobbling bait that allows you to reel at a very fast pace. And right now, when I'm talking about really aggressive fishing, I'm not talking about grinding a crankbait into the bottom. What I'm talking about is burning a crankbait back to the boat, killing it a few times, but you very rarely clip the bottom. You're actually trying to draw fish off of the bottom up to that bait, so you're burning that bait. It's coming back to the boat clean. If you're throwing it over grass, you're keeping it up over the grass. If you're throwing it over a hard bottom, you're keeping it up off the bottom. Those fish will come up to that bait and commit. It's really hard to beat a crankbait that is burned across where fish are at. They will commit to it. They will eat it. It's a great way to get them to commit to it even when they're not active. But when they are active, you can cover a ton of water and get a ton of fish to come up and commit to that bait. So those are them, guys. If the fish are active, you need to cover water. You need to I can't say it more. Don't be throwing your wacky rig Cincos, because those fish, when they're really active and they're crushing a wacky rig Cinco, they're probably going to bite the spinner bait, and you can cover way more ground throwing a spinner bait or a lipless or a jerk bait or a crankbait or whatever, a buzz bait, whatever you want to throw to cover water. You're going to get more bites because those fish are going to bite almost anything at that point. They're up and aggressive and they're willing to bite. So use one of those baits. You'll just get more bites. Just hear me out on this, guys. If you're throwing like a Ned rig and those fish are biting before it's even hitting the bottom, they're probably aggressive. That's one of the best keys that you can do to moving to more of a power fishing technique. If you know you've got like storm fronts moving in and the fishers should be aggressive at certain times, those are times to take advantage of that and try to increase the number of bites in that small time window that you have. That's really key. That's one of the things that the best anglers out there is they know when to take advantage of a bite window. So guys, I hope this was helpful. If it was, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and stay tuned. We got another video coming out tomorrow. Thanks for watching.